Hello, 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 hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we all? Is it hot and sunny where you are? Are you hot? Oh, sorry, I've got something there on my eyebrow. Just bear with me 1 second. Welcome if you're listening on podcast. I hope you're all well. What is it? Oh, yes, no, look. Anyone else get eczema? Oh, dear. Um, Hey everyone, good morning, Stacey. I know you were, sweetie. I know you were, and I was joking back too. Um, how are you? I just want to start. I want to start with an image. I don't normally do this. It's frustrating for those of you who are listening on podcast, but I'm going to start with an image, and I want you to tell me what it is. I don't know. I just thought we'd do this randomly. Shannon Pillsworth. She slept without a duvet last night with two fans blaring right at me. Where did you put the fans? Above or beneath? Were they rotating or were they fixed and static? Stacey's gone start. Stacey started. Stacey started with her gifting of memberships. Bless you, sweetheart. Here she is. 10 gifted memberships. Bless you. That's very kind of you. And here you go. What is this? What is this? Does anyone know what this is? Fixed static. Let's have a look. Thank you, Shannon. Shannon Pillsworth. Fixed static at the bottom two corners of my footstool. Like your style. Like your style. Anyone got any idea what this is? If you've got any ideas. Yuck says, God, my eyes are really... Yuck, says Sandra Marshall. So I'm struggling to read today. A brain, says Good Ship Lollipop. I thought spam fritter. I didn't know where. Just letting you know, regarding this procedure, it will be Thursday evening, like 8 p.m. Eastern. Oh, I see. Thursday. Yeah, Thursday evening. Yeah, that's tonight, isn't it? Yeah, it's tonight. Coffee, Gloria Chesham. No. Twins. No. Something from Doctor Who. No. Egg on something. I thought it looked like a spam fritter. False teeth. No. That smiley ham meat. I have to do this. Sorry, my eyes are... Oh, God almighty. Crumpet? No. What I see in my nightmares, says Lee Durham. This is what I see in the mirror. Face mask, says Anna Charalumbus. You're going to be... Stacey's just gifted another 10 memberships. It's frightening. Oh, God, so you're all kind of unsettled by it. If you're listening on podcast, you're going to be absolutely fascinated, aren't you? More water, you might be dehydrated, dude. Thanks, Edward. Yeah, no, it's in his glass. Yeah, no, it's really... I have had hay fever. I've had hay fever. That could be it. That might be it. Thank you, Gabrielle. Is it a raw fish? Elaine Denning. Peppa Pig. No, you're not going to believe what this is. You're not going to believe what this is. This is, and it's this ain't going to make it any more likable. Can you guess? This ain't going to make it any more likable. So, scientists in Tokyo have found out how to bind lab-grown skin to robotic faces, allowing them to smile. Now, in their image, there is a smile. This is the beginning of lab-created skin to create humanoid robots. So when in another 20 million years, humanoids / AI, whatever we've become, are looking for the missing link, this is it. AI, if this recording of Coffee Moaning survives on a sort of hard drive somewhere in some kind of weather-beaten apocalyptic landscape, and you hear me say, this is where you came from, gone too far now, says Sandra Marshall. If you're listening on podcast, you're definitely going to come over and watch this. Psychopath, says Bonnie Delaney. Spam fritters is what I feel. I saw it and I thought, oh my God, maybe, but it's skin. What? I thought, I love, someone say it looks like Angel Delight, Raspberry Mojito Girl. Absolutely right. And they put Google, and they put googly eyes on it. Sickos. Okay, for the members, I'm going to pop this on the community page, and you can leave comments. Best comment will win a card. It's Toffee. I love spam fritters with beans and chips. Let me just do this. It's quite something, isn't it? It's quite something. Well, there we go. I thought that would be a good starter for 10, or a good starter for the end of civilization. Squashed Percy Pig. Oh my God, it's just so hideous, isn't it? I mean, why? Why are they doing it? Why? They always have this caveat when they make these developments, don't they? Where they say this could benefit the cosmetics industry. How? I suppose by creating skin on a head, you can then apply cosmetics and see how the skin reacts. But it's just, not only is the skin soft, they say, let me add this back up. Not only is the skin soft, but it can also repair itself by mimicking human skin ligament structures, and by using specially made V-shaped perforations in solid materials. We found a way to bind skin to complex structures. So what they've managed to do is make it move with technology. Having realistic facial skin makes androids more easy to accept into society. Of course it does. But it also makes them more difficult to spot. Although I can definitely spot an android when he's standing up in an election debate like Rishi Sunak. I think Starmer seems the more robotic of the two. Did anyone watch the debate? I couldn't stomach it. I literally couldn't stomach it. I'm going to be watching the presidential debate. I just can't stomach it. It's almost like, isn't it weird? It's almost like being prime minister hoovers out any personality or concept of being a normal human being. It's like, as Rishi Sunak moves further and further away from being prime minister, he gets more kind of, I'm not saying I agree with anything he's saying, but he becomes more relatable. Like last night, from the few clips I've seen, he was a bit punchier, wasn't he? Suddenly it's like, all right, okay. So he can get a bit scrappy and a bit whiny and a bit annoying. But as Starmer moves towards becoming prime minister, it's like it's like he's becoming more and more static, more and more still. Don't say anything other than change. Oh, soulless, lived Derek. I mean, I have to say, a couple of reports I've seen have been saying that Ed Davey has won in the kind of personability stakes. Would you say, okay, share with me, who's your favourite leader in terms of who do you like to have a pint with? Who do you think, you know what, I fancy going kayaking with him? Or do you know what, I fancy perhaps going to foxtrot tango classes with them on a Sunday? Kaz Rowley, I hate Starmer, but I'm voting tactically. And it's interesting, this voting tactically. Starmer is obviously going for the Tories on the fence vote by not condemning anything they have done over 14 years. Yeah. So who have we got? John Major, MeTube. Okay, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Sunak is clearly a brat. No, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying but even, okay, so let's say Sunak played to his, what we think he possibly is, which is a spoiled brat. That's real. Be a spoiled. I mean, for everything. I mean, Johnson was an oaf, but I tell you what, Starmer's just becoming it's almost like Starmer's so. I mean, let's assume Starmer was an idealist or an ideologue at some point. Maybe he held, and he did support the thoughts of Corbyn, and he wasn't kind of hijacked by the Israeli lobby, and he did believe in a sort of universal application of humanitarian and international law. And he wasn't signing up to everything that the Tories have said and done, but just slightly tweaking it a bit because actually he doesn't know what the fuck he's going to do when he's in. It's like he's kind of gone quieter and quieter and stiller and more scared in case he says something off, off the script. Liv Darrico, I cannot in good conscience vote for Labour. Some say the election isn't all about Gaza. True, but if our political leader doesn't at the bare minimum have humanity, then that's a pretty dangerous. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. And I want to talk about, I'm getting to the place where I'm beginning to think, did they call this election when they did? Because they're all Zionists and they just wanted to kind of just move the kind of, the focus off the Israel-Gaza crisis. I mean, it just strikes me as bizarre that it doesn't even come, it's being whitewashed out of all debate. And okay, for many people, it's not the main thing, but it's a thing. And for it not to be a thing speaks to something much more sinister, I think, in the background. Helena B. Why are our politicians such grey men? Where's the Tony Benns, Skinners in Parliament, etc.? Yeah, good point. I mean, Nadia would say, Andy Burnham, you do get them. You do get them. Trying to think beyond Andy Burnham. I mean, all this Wes Street. I don't get excited about Wes Street. And sorry, call me. I don't know why. Everyone's like, oh, he's a big new fucking, exciting thing. He's not. He's like a really average defender on a football pitch. It's like, he's all right. If you don't vote, you can't moan. Well, I disagree, Karen Taylor. I think if you, obviously, well, okay. So, have most for whom of you is the leader that's kind of impressed the most? Not Starmer, not Sunak, because let's face it, they've said. I mean, come on, a pair of absolute limp biscuits. It's not about their personality, but it's about there has to be something there. And of course, you're not voting for the person. If I hear someone else say about our electoral system, yes, but you're voting for the, it's the constituency, it's the surgery, it's the, yeah, kind of, but not really. Kind of, but not really. Michael Heseltine, me too, the best PM we ever had. You're in trouble when all of the old Tory ministers, not prime ministers, that you once considered intolerable, seem to be so reasonable in everything they're saying. That's a moment where you go, oh, what's happened here? Michael Heseltine, Ken Clarke. I heard another one the other day, Michael Howard. They were all like, I was like, yeah, bloody hell. Why would you want to be a politician if you don't want to help people? Well, I think it speaks to, I do think, what comes with power. Power corrupts and corruption power. What comes with power is a sort of, and I think I think the problem I've got is we can already see the transformation of Starmer into an impenetrable sort of iceberg of non-commitment, non-human speak, officialdom, and inflexibility. And it's not about personality, but it's about being a person. Sharon JL for the okay. Who here is not voting? I'm just going to pull up on this. Try to do this. Stop. Are you going to vote at all? Yes or no? There you go. I can do that on that side too. Oh, look, I think I've asked. Has that poll come up? Yes. There you go. And then I can come back over here. If we're playing in videos, I can't do that, so apologies. I don't think it's the politics that's the problem, actually. It's our media that's turned politics into a circus. Well, in a weird way, though, does anyone else feel that even the media doesn't know how to get a grasp on this? Because there's no difference between either of them. On the one hand, you've got the Tories saying we've got the situation because of 14 years and because we had COVID, and because of the Ukraine war and because of Brexit. And then you've got the Labour Party saying, well, we're going to pick up the same situation. We've got an economic situation that's irresolvable. And so the same choices are being made by both sides. And even the papers don't know which way to go. Even the papers don't know which way to go. Francesca Bastos, I'd love to vote on a poll, but I'm not British, so I'm resisting. Erin Bullimore, not voting only benefits the people you don't want in power. By not voting, you remove your power. Uh, oh, right. By not voting, you remove your power of opposition. You give representation to a smaller, more fundamental pool of people. Everyone vote. What if absolutely no one on your list you want to vote for? What do you do if absolutely no one? And I think a lot of people here and a lot of people in the country feel this. Yes, people can say vote tactically, but to vote tactically, you've still got to believe in something somewhere of someone. I mean, I verged between. I mean, I would never vote Conservative, so that's a given. Then I've toyed with voting Lib Dem because I've been surprised that they seem to be, and then and because of and right or wrong, because of Starmer being absolutely owned by the Israeli lobby, and I can't vote for Labour. I just can't. So you got then Liberal Democrats. Of course, I wouldn't vote Reform. Liberal Democrats or Green or an independent. We don't have an independent candidate. And what does that independent candidate, represent? And in voting for those parties, you know, they don't stand a chance of winning. Is it just about, as I've been trying to suggest to the youngsters, is it about, so say a vote for the Green Party, even though I think at the last election in our constituency, I think they got about 839 votes. 839 votes out of about 60,000 cast. There's, you're definitely not going to. But I'm wondering whether over even each election, is there a graduated nudge towards the Greens? Is that a good thing? I don't know. I've seen a lot more Green Party signs outside people's houses this year since the country come from. Reform, no, couldn't vote for Reform. Can't stand Farage. Can't stand. I don't agree on. I think this one sort of note approach to immigration is inconceivable. I think the only thing that makes economies in the modern world work is the ability to have a flexible workforce and migration. Of course, you have to control. You have to have a control of sorts. But I just don't like the language and the rhetoric and the values of reform. It's just not. If I lived in England, I'd vote either Greens or Lib Dems, but fortunately, I'm in Scotland. Says, oh, sorry, says D Sana. Sorry. If you don't, I think a lot of people here are going to vote Reform. Says Stuart G. Clodagh, if you don't vote, you've no right to complain, in my humble opinion. What about if your complaint is with the system itself? I mean, there used to be a time when the Lib Dems would always bake into their kind of, their manifesto. I mean, I can't say I've looked at their manifesto in any detail. That proportional representation would be, a fair sort of, what's the word? Would be a fair way to kind of reform the electoral system that we've got. I think if you don't agree with the system and absolutely no party represents what you think or feel or value, is there not an argument to say that by not voting, that is your protest vote? So you have a right to not only not vote, but shout louder about your opposition to the system. I mean, that's another way of coming at it. I'm not necessarily disagreeing, Clodagh, but I just wonder whether is that another way of looking at it. Funnily enough, I think our voting system really brings into the fold the big existential discourse between fate versus free will. Well, I think you're absolutely right, Reece. I mean, I think our voting system absolutely, when you actually put your face right up close to our voting system and think about it, I think we all talk from a place of this is what we do. I think so many of us, and I'm including myself in this, so many of us just accept that this is the system we've got. It's the only system we've got, and then we all kind of go, okay, well, let's just, and we acquiesce. And it's not about like I'm not suggesting that one mindlessly doesn't vote. I think if you don't care, and I think if you've got no interest, and you're not talking about the system, and you're not talking about better representation, you have. I'd agree with Clodagh's comment. I think you probably don't have any right to kind of complain. But I think if your complaint is with the system, then I think you do. I suppose I'm flabbergasted that there is so little variety in what's being offered and so little detail in what we're being told. I mean, no one knows what they're going to do in government until they get in government. Wasn't it when the Labour Party got in? Someone, or didn't someone leave a note for someone? No, the Labour Party left a note for the Tories saying the money's all run out. Welsh Wind, is it? Hi everyone, I'm voting Labour simply because I think disabled people will be dealt with fairly, as Tories have awful, scary plans for us. Look, I think I said I made the comment last week. I've never so wanted, and I'm sure this is why the Labour Party will win. And in a weird way, to voice these concerns is not to be like, oh, don't give the Tories a. It's not about that. The Tories aren't going to win. I mean, Labour's going to win. But yeah, I've never more wanted or relished the prospect of a Labour Party, but just not this one. I mean, it might not be for everyone else, but for me, it's a major problem when you have politicians who have actually been, their loyalty has been bought to a country that's committing a genocide, and no one is talking about this, and no one challenges them on this, and they're going to sidle into power, and once they're in power, they're going to give us loads of kind of meaningless adjectives and verbs and words about, this needs to happen. Palestine isn't going to become a two-state solution. Israel is it's going to go quiet. Israel's going to be allowed to kind of creep back into the shadows. Israel's already in the process of mopping up as many of the kind of infringements of international law as possible, so they can claim in the International Court of Justice they weren't so bad in the first place. The fog of war has been the fog of war. No one's been allowed it, and the Labour Party will do zilch to change this. They will, and what I think is politicians should, like footballers, have sponsored by on their chest. How can you have an independent government when they've been lobbied and bought up? And it's by the same extension, with the Conservatives, the fact that they've been bought up by big business, or, the oil companies or the banking sector, it should be stated. It should be stated. It should be emblazoned. Neve, I feel so lucky to live in Wales, voting Plaid Cymru. Great party. We'll get some Welsh seats in Westminster. Would kill me to vote for any of those dirty gets. And I sympathise. Lee Doran, I think I have to vote for who I think will help me better in my current situation, not working because of a serious heart condition. I vote for who I think will deal with that better. Yeah, I mean, voting. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, Lee. You raise a good topic there. Is voting about voting? Let's have a look at the poll. I'm going to close the poll. Yes, a third of you are not going to vote at all. Interesting. Is voting about voting for yourself, or is it about voting for the better good of everyone? And when I say everyone, I don't just mean for your country, but the better good of the world too. Because this isn't about making people have an intimate, caring understanding of the geopolitical history of the Middle East. No. This is about seeing in what's going on in Israel and Gaza signs of a really worrisome future. And how our government deals with that speaks to the manner in which and the way in which your government will deal with other issues. Russ Souch, better good of the world. A number of you have already posted by vote. Yeah, the better good of everyone, says D. Sana. Yeah. There is, Mitra, there's no such thing as voting for the individual because no issue is unique, so there is always a collectivism. Good point. Minky Moo, Kia won't be there forever. A better leader may come. Yeah. Mass C, I agree with you, Mark. Gaza has been the defining moment for me. Keir is compromised entirely. And you know why they're not talking about it. The mainstream media that's challenging them in these debates isn't going to do it because they are tilted in a certain direction. And the the parties themselves aren't going to talk about it because they want to pretend the problem isn't there. It's an inconvenient truth. The whole problem is an inconvenient truth. So where would I put myself? I would say I would characterise myself as at the moment a floating voter who's definitely not going to vote Reform, Conservative, or Labour. That's where I'm at. I'm a floating voter who will definitely not vote for those three parties. Neve, it's not just Keir that's compromised; it's the whole party. Yeah. Mickey Moo. Maybe people need to vote for what's best for others if they don't know for themselves. Well, absolutely, and I think on that basis, that's why I can't vote for Labour. I can't vote for Labour because they have refused to acknowledge, see, witness, or watch clips or videos, as Keir Starmer said rather irritatingly, and like really rather sort of impetuous. Hey, I'm not going to be shown. When I watch these films, oh really? Watch these films and clips. Okay, okay, all right, Keir. What the only films and clips that were allowed out because Israel. It's for me, it's inconceivable to get past an atrocity that's happened now that I think collectively in the media and politically we are all trying to push to the margins in the hope that the intensity of what actually happened there didn't happen. I think we have an ability as a civilization to collectively accelerate an amnesia around this and kind of conveniently go, that didn't really happen because it doesn't suit us. And I think the extent to which that's happening is inconceivably wrong, and staggering, actually, given that we live in an age where most of all of this stuff will not be forgotten. All of what's happened will not be forgotten in a way that, even from World War II after the Holocaust, there was very limited media back then. So sorry, Starmer, unforgivable. Um, if you vote Labour, Khan will be running it. What does that mean, Salier? The next 10 years will be about shifting the country back to the centre from the lurch to the right after Brexit. But do you not feel, me, Tube, that Labour has moved from the left to the centre? Not even centre left to the centre. And then don't you think there will just be a float? Don't you just think there will be a float back? I just think the problems the country faces are so large, no centrist Labour Party will be able to resolve. Leo, green would be real change. I mean, I have to say, I'm moving that way. I mean, I think one has to view, it's about whether you view your vote as a vote for someone who's likely to win or a vote for something that's an idea and a value that you want to invest in for others. And at the moment, you're right. I think the Green Party seems to come the closest to that for me. A lot of people are petrified about. Are you talking about Sadiq Khan? I mean, he's the mayor of London. Okay. Let's talk about. Okay, so who here? Let me just get rid of this. Who here struggles with? Oh no, hang on. Before we get on to summer anxiety, which I've got here, does anyone here have? No, let's do this. Does anyone have summer anxiety? Do you have summer anxiety? Do you get anxious as everyone goes, the sun's out, let's all have fun, let's go to barbecues, let's have a great time. The sun has got all that kind of stuff. Does the sun coming out? I mean, I've talked a lot about this, that I find it really difficult for mental health. I find the sun a sort of mocking orb in the sky, looking down, going, ha ha ha. You need to feel happy, but you can't. I prefer the calm of fall, says Friendly Pup. Muqtadir Ali, I have depression and anxiety. Just be, yes, Mark, I do. I don't get anxious about the sun, but more about my body image, Gabriel. Well, in a weird way, that's tied into it. All the stuff that comes with the sun, showing more of your body. People, I mean, for me, drinking, sitting, socializing, everyone's like, yeah, come and just kick back and kick open a cat and a cat, well, you know what I mean. Just sit and have a cocktail. I can't, I mean, I'm sober enough, long enough now to be able to not worry about that. But you've got to be careful. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone who's struggling with drink or starting to not drink too much or wanting to control their drink. Summer is a time where everyone's like, come on, let's just do it. I mean, for example, I think I would like the idea of it's Glastonbury this weekend, isn't it? I think I'd like the idea of going to a festival, but then all the people, all the perfections, all the drugs, all the drink, and all of the constant being on stresses me out big time. Oh, here we go. Catherine Jones. The sun helps with my depression, anxiety. That's good. Haley Pepper. I prefer autumn, winter. Jenny Marshall. There's a notion that everyone is out being happy when you're not. Exactly. Yeah, the sun has got his hat on and he's mocking you. Stuart G. It doesn't bother me. It's the heat and the osteoarthritis does me in the summer. I've had a bad week with it. Oh, sending you love, Stuart. Sorry to hear that. I like all the seasons, says Della, and I love winter too. That's Nads. I mean, Nadia likes each season for what it has to offer. Vicky Edwards, I feel exactly the same. I feel there's a pressure to be happy in the sun. And yet when I feel happy in winter, apparently I'm weird. Yeah, it's like when you feel happy when there's kind of clouds and rain, people go, oh, you killjoy. And it's like, no, you're the problem here. Summer is beautiful, says Lee Durant, but it's not my favourite time of year. I prefer winter so I can hide my stomach, says Gemma Perry. Oh, sweetie. Summer makes me happy, not sad, Muqtadir Ali. I have Lisa Gallagher. Oh, sweetheart, sending you love. I've not left my flat in 7 years. Sending you love, sweetheart. Erin Bullimore, I love the summer. I'm too damn cold the rest of the year, and I have seasonal depression. My light-sensitive migraines are an unfortunate side effect, though. Okay, well, yeah, this is a piece in The Independent. It's not a survey from Cleveland, but there is this idea of, FOMO, isn't there? There's the FOMO of sunny weather too. Whirlwind of activities that you have to participate in, barbecues, sitting outside pubs, and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, you've got the bigger pressure of what happens in the sun is everyone goes online, don't they, to show off in the sun. I mean, we do it. Nads does it. Here am I in the sun. I mean, I think we try and post how fucking real it is too. It's like, it's hot. I just sweat. I'm having to change T-shirts. I'm having to just, I'll see someone or you bump into someone and you walk into. Where did it happen yesterday? Last night I was out. And I went into a place and I was getting a drink just at the end of the day. And as I went, I started to fucking flood. You can't control your radiator. It's like, oh my God. Barbecues. Then you've got the keeping up with the Joneses. Everyone else is like, I'm going here. I'm going to do this, and yeah, come to this. Yeah, why don't you come to Gloucester's? All right, it's like £3,000, isn't it, for a ticket or something ridiculous? Is anyone going to be watching? Do you watch Glastonbury on telly? Anyone? I mean, it's. I did Glastonbury years ago, and it was all right back there. But I think there were only like 50,000 people there. Jenny Marshall, my dad has dementia and he gets so much worse than the heat. And yeah, depending on age too, it's really difficult for older people. I like summer when I'm working or living in a countryside, but autumn otherwise, says Me Too. Menopausal, Faith, tricky in the sun. Not interested, just be, re Glastonbury. I love the summer, long bright evening, says Coral Roberts. The sun makes people feel happier, lifts your mood. Yeah, I mean, you see, that the way you've described it there, Coral Roberts, is like, that's nice. Long, bright evenings makes people feel happier and lifts the mood. Yeah, I mean, I love seeing everyone I love feel happier. But I feel like huge kind of pressure. Flies and wasps, Faith Goodman. Yeah, no, absolutely. Sazzy, yes, we do, but I can hear it as we're 5 miles away from Glastonbury. And Shahina Shafiq, perimenopause and the heat, 5 cold showers, plus autumn is calming. I like autumn too. Okay, so finally, tonight, Sleepy Joe's going to find himself on a stage. Sleepy Joe has asked for a chair because he cannot stand. And Joe Biden has apparently, one of the pieces of news that's come through, Joe Biden's team have asked, I think it's CNN that are doing the presidential debate tonight, asked if Joe Biden could have a chair. I think tonight's going to be curious. The Evening Standard has got a great piece here saying, Joe Biden and Donald Trump have a common enemy. What do you think that common enemy might be? Yes, as the Evening Standard says, staying coherent. The worry is Joe Biden might just suddenly go, and the worry is that Trump might open his cat's anus of a mouth and inhale Joe Biden's aviator glasses. I'm beginning to wonder whether, 1 a.m. it starts tonight. As I say, we're toying with the idea of me giving you some kind of Graham Norton. I'm not elevating myself whatsoever here, but we were trying to toy with the idea of if you can access CNN, you watch it. I'll pop some headphones in, and I'll do a bit of a Graham Norton, Graham Norton style commentary. Might be fun. One of the things I feel has to happen tonight. Joe Biden never knows where he is, and when we say all of this, Park, an old man, infirm, disorientated, clearly in decline, as the wonderful presenters of is it the news gatherers or what's that Reese, what's the podcast with oh my god, I can't remember anyone's name. What's the name of the woman who interviewed Prince Andrew? And they have the newsreaders, newscasters, or whatever it is. Anyway, it's podcast. But as they was, I think John Sopel was saying on that, he was saying, on the one hand, it seems mean to talk about how vulnerable and old and Biden and in decline he is. The news agents, thank you, Michu. But at the same time, Emily Mateless, thank you. At the same, Michu, I just need a little app of you, or a sort of implant of you in my head. That'd be great. Thank you, Reese. As John Sopel was saying on that, it feels bad. It feels mean. It feels like you're kind of giving an old man a good kicking. But he is the president. And so it matters, and one has to call it out, and one has to name it. Because if your president is literally unclear as to where the red button is and goes wandering off in the night and, presses it or, says something wrong, you're having to mop up the mess. All those around him are responsible for him. So anyway, Biden, I think, could easily, I don't know if they're giving him drugs that make him razor sharp for a limited period of time, but I think things could get interesting. It's a 90-minute debate. I think things could get interesting around the 60-minute zone, because I think they'll both be tiring at that point. Trump got tired in his court case quickly. They're both old. I think they have the combined age of 160 or thereabouts, or 100, maybe 170. So it could be comedy gold. It could be an absolute clusterfuck. It could be a sort of Titan-like locking of octogenarian horns. So I just feel we need to kind of be there. Friendly Pup, he does remind me of a zombie. And in fact, when I looked at this morning, the first sort of skin graft onto technology to create a skin-covered kind of robot, this made me think of Joe Biden. This did make me think of Joe Biden. They might nod off. They might fall asleep. Anyway, on that note, all of you, have a lovely day. Something will be landing later. But as I say, keep your eyes and ears peeled. We will notify you what's happening re the presidential debate tonight. It's going to be a big evening, and I'm looking forward to standing on the podium opposite Sleepy Joe, as long as he doesn't fall off the stage or walk into the moderator at the middle table. Thank you.